Hi, it's Mark Murphy with TravelTube.com. Thanks for joining me this week. If you are a travel advisor slash agent, you are part of the Travel Expert channel. That is this channel, TravelTube.com. It's why I do it, to position you as the actual experts. So get off your ass, sign up at the website for the e-newsletter. We don't spam you, we don't sell your names, any of that stuff. So that's something you can do to help yourself so we can continue to succeed and spread the word about the professionalism of travel agents. At the same time, do me a favor and follow me on your favorite podcast apps as well as your favorite social media, because we're everywhere. But you know what? Forget the word favorite. Just follow us on all of them. Just follow us on all of them. It helps boost our numbers, boost our visibility, which in turn makes you more visible. Got it now? That's what I'm talking about. All right. Now that I got the unpaid commercial out of the way, here's what I'm going to talk to you about this week. I'm going to talk to you about using miles when you book with a travel agent. Now, if you're a consumer listening and you're a heavy business traveler, pay attention because we're going to cover that and why it's a good idea. Next up, we're going to talk about tiered pricing. Tiered pricing is what you see from the airlines, the hotels and resorts. I'm going to tell you the strategy behind that and what to pay attention to. Now, those could be for both consumers as well as agents, but those two topics are more geared towards the consumer because hopefully the agents understand all of that, and the smart ones certainly do. And in a I told you so moment, yes, I'm going to tell you, I told you so. I told you that the airlines are using fuel prices as an excuse to raise all your costs, but Delta and then United CEO both came out and said, well, you know what? Yeah, we raised it because of higher fuel prices, but if it goes down, we're not going to lower the prices. Told you. And then we have another day, another hack, this time booking.com. So if you have bookings with booking.com, you're a DIY person, yeah, your information is probably compromised and you might be getting messages from them. I'm going to talk about how to keep your personal details safe and what to watch out for. And then I'm going to get into the travel costs, which are absolutely rising in some areas, obviously airline travel, but kind of across the board. Some have pulled back after the craziness of the pent up demand after COVID, but some haven't. And I'm going to show you how you don't have to break the bank to have an amazing vacation. And the final thing, when it gets to pricing, is kind of Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas shot itself in the foot by thinking that everybody wants to spend $100 on a steak, and then the sides are extra, and then the drinks are extra. And who doesn't want to spend $25 for a cocktail in Las Vegas? This guy right here. So they're finally getting the message because numbers speak, and they basically got way over their skis out there in the desert. Do they ski in the desert? Maybe they do. Maybe they do like dune skiing. Who knows? But they got way over their skis. And I think they're trying to fix that problem right now. We'll see how it goes. But those are the topics for the day. So again, subscribe, like, share. Please spread the word because that's how we help you spread the word about the idea of booking with a travel agent and the insights that you can gain from a really good travel agent. All right. So like I said, somebody told me, they sent me a message, I think it was through Facebook. Hey, you know what? You should talk on one of your podcasts about using miles to book with a travel agent. I thought, you know what? That is a really good idea. A lot of people don't think of that. They think, oh, I got the miles. Let me just go book it myself. For most people, and I've flown millions of miles. For most of us, we are going to have a lot of miles, but we're not going to be able to, for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, we're not going to be able to plan our whole trip and book our whole trip with miles. That's a fact. But what do you do when you got to fill the gaps? Well, you could marry your reward points or miles with a travel professional and put together an unbelievable trip. And I would encourage any of these frequent travelers that earn the miles to do exactly that. To basically, if you're on the corporate side, you're probably already using a travel agent to book your corporate travel, and you see the benefits of that. Like when you have a problem and you need a change, you're not the one standing in line trying to figure out which connection or which airline to shift off to get home because you're a business traveler. You got a corporate travel agent, usually they're 24/7, meaning they've got a call center if the person you're used to dealing with isn't working at that moment, and they can jump in and handle your stuff. Well, a good leisure agent has backup as well and can do the same thing. So you already understand the value of the travel agent. Now you can apply that with your points and everything else. And to me, that's just smart business and that's smart booking because, again, the travel agents have deals that aren't in the public domain in many cases. It depends on the quality of the travel, meaning if you're trying to book a Hampton Inn, you know what, other than the convenience and picking the right property to stay at, you know what, if you're just on a business trip, you just want to book $100, $150, $200 at a Hampton Inn, no problem. Or a leisure trip, you're going to go visit family, you're going to go do that. And it's just point to point. You can certainly do those things on your own. Although at the same time, a travel agent would be very happy to do that booking for you and it won't cost you any more money. You're probably not going to get an upgrade or anything like that as a traveler going that route on that type of property. But if you're booking a Ritz-Carlton, a Four Seasons, the Peninsula in Chicago, whatever it happens to be, high fours, five-star type of properties, there's absolutely deals that are not available in the public domain. So if you book it yourself, even if you're booking on the Peninsula website in Chicago, for instance, you're not seeing that deal. But if you book it, in my case, I had a black card with American Express. If I booked with my American Express agent, I would book 2 nights, get a third night free, get breakfast every day for 3 straight days, get a spa credit. Might be $150. So the massage might cost 200 for an extra $50. I'm getting an unbelievable spa experience at that property, and on and on and on. So that's something to think about when you're looking at taking a trip, taking a vacation on the leisure side, kind of combine up that business travel reward with the leisure stuff and stretch your dollars and stretch your experience as far and wide as possible. That's number one. Now, getting into the hotel and resort business and the airline business, I had mentioned that thing called tiered pricing. I see a lot of people pissed off with videos on X, on Facebook, et cetera. Like, look at this, it's ridiculous. Look at Delta. If I book the base fare, I I get a seat. I don't even know what the seat is, and that's it. I get nothing. I get nothing. And when you look at the hotel and you see that really cheap rate on the hotel, but then you go to book it and you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, I thought the rate was $50 at Circus Circus. Now all of a sudden, 3 nights are costing me like $400. Well, that's because they add additional fees. And here's the strategy behind it. Because people shop online, and when they go online to shop, they look at pricing, and a lot of folks sort the cheapest price to the highest price. In order to put out the cheapest price, they strip everything out and give you a low price. But then, if you want to have any seat selection, well, you got to pay more for that. If you want to bring a bag, you got to pay more for that. You got to do economy plus or whatever they're calling it. And that's how they kind of get in with the low price so they show up as one of the top deals. But in the end, you end up paying as much or more if they just gave you the package price. Like, hey, you can bring a couple of bags and you can check them, and you can bring a personal item, and here's your seat selection, everything else. Well, if they did that, their 150 fare would be 300. My thing is just charge $300. Their attitude is we want to leave with the lowest price so we show up at the top of the search results. And I get that, but it's a pain in the neck for consumers. And again, a good travel agent will sort you through that stuff and tell you, you know what, the real cost is X. That's based on what you want to do, Mr. Murphy. This is going to be your actual cost per ticket for your family of four or whatever it is that you've got going on. And it really got going with these resort fees at the hotels and resorts. And it's always funny to see something called a resort fee, and you're at a New York City hotel, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna give you 2 bottles of water. We're going to give you Wi-Fi. We're going to give you blah blah blah, unlimited phone calls from your room." When was the last time you used your room phone to make calls? Doesn't everybody have a cell phone today? Don't most cell phones have hotspots? By the way, A lot of times in hotels, if you're in your room, you got to sign up for their Wi-Fi, right? But at the same time, if you're in the lobby, it just sometimes just an open Wi-Fi that you can use because you're just a guest there and you're in the main lobby area or you're in the meetings area or whatever it happens to be. But they bundled everything together. And when you get to places that are outside of like a major metropolitan city like New York, let's take Vegas or any other spot, someplace out in Arizona, wherever, Miami, the resort fee will have things like, oh, you can access our gym. Well, I thought the gym was part of the hotel. Oh, and you can swim in our pool. What? So I got to pay the resort fee to use the basic services that you provide at the hotel. That's right, Mr. Murphy. That's how it works. Okay. So they make it more complicated than it needs to be, but the strategy behind it is to put the lowest price first. You see that low price, you jump on it, and then they stack the fees on top on the back end. That's their strategy. And that's because of the online travel booking, world we're in. So when people go and search, they search typically for the lowest price, and that's how Delta will come up or XYZ airline will come up, whatever it happens to be. What resorts come up? If you're looking at Scottsdale, they're just showing you the basic room rate. They're not showing you what the all-in actual cost is going to be. Because guess what? It may say that this is the rate, and it may say this is an added fee, and you say, "Well, I'm just coming in. I'm just doing some business meetings. I'm leaving. I don't plan on using the gym. I don't plan on using the pool. I don't even need the Wi-Fi because I'll use my hotspot, whatever it happens to be." They don't care because they're still going to charge you, in some cases, as much as $60 or $70 for your so-called resort fee. And the irony is, many times it's a city hotel that's not a resort, but they still love using the term resort fee, and you're going to get stuck with that. So try to avoid that. Talk to a travel professional. They can sort through all of that and give you the actual cost, not the make believe cost that they lead with. But again, I understand why they're doing it because they're saying if you're not bringing luggage on the plane, why should I make you pay as if you're bringing two bags on the plane? Why should I make you pay as like you're checking a single bag and doing a carry on or whatever it happens to be? They've all followed this model, and every airline, almost every hotel and resort does something in this area, all to show you the lowest possible price. So don't be fooled. You're going to pay more, and I'd say good luck negotiating out of the resort fee because it's nearly impossible to do that when you sign up and you decide you're going to go stay at XYZ hotel chain or whatever it happens to be. All right. Um, what I find really annoying with these airlines, and it's kind of funny, but here's an article. I don't even know what it's from. The cool down. Delta CEO faces backlash after implying ticket prices won't be lowered if jet fuel prices go. And a lot of people are like, you know what? If they give them an inch, they'll rob you. I don't disagree. Delta came out, and this was an interview with CNBC, so obviously a business channel. And the CEO won't commit to lowering prices should the jet fuel prices come back down. They want those prices to stick, and they get help. You know how they get help? Oh, from their fellow airline CEOs. What do I mean? Oh, well, let's just see what Scott Kirby, probably the worst airline CEO out there. And I'll get into why I think he's the worst airline CEO. But here's Scott Kirby. Let's see. United Airlines CEO just casually admitted that prices might stay high even after the Iran fuel crisis ends. And these are on earnings calls. This is not what they're going to put out in their typical PR stuff about, hey, fly the friendly skies, we're the best, or whatever they happen to say. No, they're going to put this stuff out there, and they're going to tell you that if you think prices are coming down when this war ends and oil drops, it's going to be a while, number one, because to get all this back online is going to take a while. I'm an oil and gas investor. Trust me, you're looking at probably the end of this year before you see things get back to where they were pre-war. It might be 12 months. And if it gets shut in with the oil wells in Iran because the blockade, you could be looking at a year. And you could be looking at some of those wells not producing after they reopen them. So we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. But let's say it's 12 months from now, oil's come back down to $70 a barrel. They're already telling you, folks, and believe them when they tell you, they have no intention of lowering prices. If these prices stick and people continue to travel, they will stick those prices. And collectively, the four major airlines that control 80% of all air travel domestically in the United States, they will not drop prices until one of them moves to do that. And then everyone will follow. But if everyone hold, yeah, you're gonna eat that. You're gonna eat that. And as an entrepreneur, I can understand why, if you've got clients that are willing to pay more, why not return value to your shareholders by making them more money? And they're doing this not with just raising prices, but they're cutting frequency and they're cutting seats on certain routes because they want to have every last seat filled. And if they're going to fly that plane, they're going to make sure it's full. So you're going to have demand. If it stays where it's at, less supply, that's going to make those prices stick. So if you're thinking about putting off your vacation because the $300 airfare is now going to be $350 to $360, which is about what we're talking about, that should not per person be a deal breaker on you taking a trip. Just saying. And it depends on the route you're on. I did an interview with Fox News on Saturday this past week. And when I did, and by the way, it's on traveltube.com, so you can see it there. I look at it and I said, well, it depends on where you're flying. Like, prices across the board might be up 8 to 12% right now. They could go as high as 20% increase on fares. And like I said, if the average fare domestically, let's say, is around $300, might go to $360. Probably not going to stop somebody from taking that vacation. But the problem you have with these fares is you've got that one layer there, then you've got the resorts and everything else, but you also, it's not uniform. It's not just across the board, it's 15% or 12% or 20% or whatever it is. It's by route. So I looked at flights to Denver. They're basically flat. There's no real increase based on historical data. And you can, by the way, a great tool to use is Google Flights, because you can see where the trending is with the airfare. Is it high? Is it low? Is it right on point? It'll tell you that based on historical data. Or your travel agent can tell you that. Work with a travel agent. At the same time, it depends on where you're going. Like to LAX, it was a little more from Miami to LAX, but it was only a few dollars more, maybe like $15 more per ticket. Again, not a deal breaker. But I wish that the airline execs would just come out and say, listen, if we can charge you $1,000 for that $300 ticket and you're willing to pay for it, we're gonna charge you. But it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And if they've got the demand there, and the supply means that those last 5 seats can go out at $1,000 a ticket. And FYI, as a business traveler who tends to book last minute, you typically pay the highest price because you're booking one of the last available seats. It's called revenue management. So you're going to get hit with that. And what I shared with the folks on Fox is I just shared that, hey, there are some places that you can travel to that are not getting impacted at the average. They're not getting impacted at all. So it's kind of a case by case basis. But what I wish the airline CEOs would do is just come out and be transparent. They're very transparent on the earnings call. Yeah, we're going to stick them as hard as we can, and we're going to stick those prices. And if they stay, great. If they don't, we'll have to adjust. And if they were honest, they would say, yeah, if I see Delta raising fares and I'm on a similar route to them, I'm matching that fare right out of the gate. I'm matching that fare. They're not saying, oh, we got more demand. They're just saying, oh, well, okay, well, these guys just raised it by 20%, so we're going to raise it by 20%. That's what you have going on in the airline industry. Not so much in the hotel industry, because the hotel industry is highly fragmented. Lots of hotels, hundreds of thousands of hotels globally. So when you want to go to Mexico, for instance, there's 1,000 property options just between the hotel zone in Cancun down to Tulum. You can go look it up. Go on TripAdvisor and look up how many hotel options you have just in that region. And that means that not one group or a handful of players can dictate pricing across the board. It's the key word is fragmentation. The more options you have, the better the value you're going to get. That's just how it works. Now, there are a lot of things that go on in the world of travel, and one of them is the old DIYer. Hey, I can do it myself. I was on booking.com. It was easy, I was able to book my trip, no problem. And I got this message. Message seemed a little odd, but I got this message and it came from booking.com. So I responded, I clicked on the link, etc. Oh boy. Okay. Booking.com got hacked. What does that mean? That means that your information is probably now in the hands of some folks that want to use that information to get a little money from you. How's that work? Well, here's the headline. This was in the New York Post. This is a couple of weeks ago. Booking.com hackers use hotel messaging to send fake requests to customers. Is your vacation reservation protected? Okay, there's two parts here. Your vacation, if you booked it yourself, the transaction's there. What they did was they went in there, got your personal information. They're pretending to be the hotel or booking.com, and they're trying to get some more personal information from you so they can get into your bank account, use your credit cards, everything else. The good news with encryption is when you give your credit card to a vendor, let's say on booking.com, and you say, hey, here's my credit card to book this ticket, that's typically, with any real business, separated, encrypted, and they can't even look at the number themselves internally, let alone a hacker coming in and getting access to it. Real sophisticated hackers can get a lot of your information. I get bombarded with phishing emails, which is basically a website pretending to be something that it's not. I get fooled. I go in. I'm like, oh, please update your payment information so we can confirm your reservation at booking.com, things like that. I go in. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't look at who the email was sent from, because a lot of times it's very easy to tell. I get these literally 10 times a day. I can just go click on where the email came from. And 9 times out of 10, I look and I go, okay, it's blah, blah, blah at hotmail.com or Gmail or at some random, xyz.abc.com, some name, which is not associated with that particular business that I did business with that they're pretending to be. Red flag. Don't open that email. Don't click on that email. If there's an attachment, don't click on it. I use Microsoft Outlook. I always get these fake invoices and to update my payment information, and it's never from Microsoft. So just a warning to the DIY community, use a travel professional. If you decide to do it yourself, make sure you double check before you ever click on anything to make sure that that sender is really who they say they are. And worst case scenario, you can pick up the phone and call the reservation line of the hotel, the resort, the airline, whoever it happens to be, or the online travel agency, which is exactly what booking.com is, and confirm like, hey, did you guys, I just got an email and it's saying I need to update my payment information, but I've already paid you. I have the receipt. What's going on? I want to make sure my trip is okay. And they'll say, oh my God, yeah, don't ignore that. We sent out a notice about a potential hack. Sounds like you've been part of that, blah, 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 whatever their message happens to be. But you can always directly talk to somebody there. And make sure when you go to booking.com, it's not some fake website where they'll literally create a website that looks exactly like that particular website. And when they do that, it's very easy to be fooled because you're like, oh, I'm on the New York Post. Oh, yeah, I'm reading the New York Post. Oh, look, I'm on booking.com. Oh, look, I'm on Vuari clothing. No, it's like when that deal is like $20 for a $150 jacket on, I don't know, some yoga shop like Vuari. Do you think they're selling that jacket for $20? That's below their cost. Why would they do that? Because it's a scam and you're going to get scammed. So these folks are doing this nonstop and you just don't want to get burned. You don't want to get burned. So take note of that. Make sure that doesn't happen to you because that can ruin your day. especially if they steal your identification, and and then they're doing other things like taking out credit cards in your name with your social security number and all that other stuff. But that gets into other things outside of just booking on an online travel agency. And it's important to note, when you book your own travel at Expedia, Orbitz, Booking.com, Priceline, or whatever, guess what you're doing as a consumer? You're booking travel on a travel agency's website. It happens to be a mega agency, but you're booking on a travel agency website. That's what you're doing. So you're doing the work, you're doing the research, you're making the transaction, you're doing everything yourself, and they're getting the commission, just like a normal travel agent would. But a normal travel agent's doing all the research, all the work, all the bookings, all the details, the concierge, the transfers, all of that stuff for you. And you're paying nothing 99% of the time. No extra costs 99% of the time. Sure, there are people that will charge you a fee, but again, 9 times out of 10, that fee gets set up where they say, hey, I need a planning fee, but here's how it goes. If you book that trip with me within 12 months, that $500 planning fee, that goes towards the cost of your trip because the supplier is going to pay me. The reason I pay that is to eliminate time wasters who have no intention of booking with me and who just want to tap me for my knowledge and information. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? So remember, when you do it yourself on an online booking site, you're doing their work for them. But again, everyone can do whatever they want to do. I'm just letting you know that probably not the best approach, but hey, teach their own. If it makes you feel empowered, you go, boy. You go, girl. God bless you. All right. Travel costs. I know a lot of people are screaming about the cost of travel these days, and it has gone up. And I'm taking a little water break here. My commercial for Fiji water. It's smooth, it's delicious, and you can get a subscription, and it's about $1 a bottle. That's what I do, folks. I do like Fiji water. I don't know why. I did have throat cancer. I got radiated. Maybe it changed my taste buds. I know it changed my taste buds, but for some reason, it tastes more than like water. Fiji. Okay. I don't get paid by Fiji, and I don't do commercials. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe I will in the future. Who knows? But anyway, back to travel costs. So when travel costs rise, what do you do as a consumer who needs that time away to reconnect with family, just to chill out and to get experiences that only travel can provide? There are a lot of options. And like I was saying in the airline portion when I was covering that, sure, the airlines might raise ticket prices, let's say from $300 to $360. You got a family of four, it's going to cost you an extra $240 to go on vacation. You were already in for $1,200. Is $1,440 going to break the bank? No, no, it's not. Is it going to dissuade you from traveling? Probably not. If a international ticket goes from 700 to, let's say, 850, is that going to stop you from traveling to Italy in coach? Probably not. You're probably still going to go. So a lot of people get apoplectic about this, but I understand because mentally it's taxing. You're like, I'm getting squeezed. My costs of everything are going up. My income's going up as well, but not as fast as I'd like. I don't have as much disposable income. So, I want to make the most of this trip. Well, what are some of the things you can do to have an amazing vacation, but not break the bank? And one idea is to travel with, let's say you're a couple, do something with three other couples, share a 4-bedroom Airbnb type of house in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, whatever Scottsdale, you name it, right? And share that cost across everyone. For instance, I have a beach house. It has 6 bedrooms. It's not fancy. It's not, but it's a beach house. And we're in the middle of the block. And you walk out my front door and you're 240 feet, or for me, about 80 steps before your feet are in the sand. And if you rented my house and you were 6 couples, it would be a dirt cheap vacation. You cook your own food, you can stay in for breakfast, go to the beach in the morning, come back, eat your lunch at the place. Again, just walk right back because you're close enough. You have to go to the bathroom or anything. It's very easy. Um, and you may be all in for 1,500 bucks per person for that week, depending on the week you're going. Could be as high. I mean, get crazy. It might be $2,000 per couple or $1,000 a person for a 1 week, 7 night stay at the Jersey Shore, which a lot of people like to do. That's one option. And that's an option I know because I've got a house there. At the same time, I talked to somebody just recently, and the interview's coming out in a few weeks. Dude ranches. So think about a dude ranch. I mean, I remember people talking about it. It was kind of like a hot topic, dude ranches, experiences, going back to the old West, yada, 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 cowboy culture, and on and on. But I got to tell you, the thing that surprised me most, first of all, I got excited about it. So I'm definitely going to do it. So, Sally, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm definitely going to experience that uh, type of trip. And I'm really looking forward to doing it. So number one, it sounds like a great experience. But number two, depending on the time of year you go, it can be incredibly cost effective. So let me price it out for you if you're a family and you've got to travel in the summer because of summer vacation. You could do 6 nights at a dude ranch. Your kids could learn to ride horses. They could watch the cowboys shoe a horse. They could, you know, go and do hikes. They could do all sorts of experiences. They would be, I know my kids would be enthralled by it. And some of these places are near national parks, so you can couple it up with a stay at a national park or just outside of a national park, or they actually combine as part of your trip to a dude ranch a day, at Yellowstone or wherever it happens to be, where they take you in on a guided tour of Yellowstone, which is phenomenal. I've been there. Really cool experience. But here's the pricing. This company has several ranches. And the most cost effective ranch, you can go with a family of four. And for less than $8,000, now hold on, don't think this is for less than $8,000, 6 nights at the Dude Ranch, family of four, all your meals included, everything's included, but one thing, if you want to bring alcohol. Now, Sally told me that alcohol and riding around on horses doesn't really mix. Drunken cowboy stuff probably doesn't mix. So, yeah, after your day's done, if you want to have a bourbon or a beer or something, you can bring your stuff in and you can do that. Or, I didn't ask her, but maybe she'll confirm for me. Can they sell alcohol at the property? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I also know that they have a spa there. They typically have a pool at these places. So if you go out for a morning ride and it's a hot day because it's Arizona heat and it's going to be up to 105 degrees that day, maybe you go out, for a breakfast ride. You take a nice ride and you're out and back in 2.5 hours. You have breakfast, like where they cook you a breakfast out on the range, if you would, just like the cowboys used to do it. Imagine your kids, how thrilled they'd be. And all in, your total cost for everything outside of alcohol, or if you're getting a massage at the spa, which I wouldn't do because I'd want to get those other experiences. I get a massage, anywhere I want at like a day spa in Fort Lauderdale or any number of places, hotels, resorts, on different types of trips. But that trip, I want to take it all in. I wouldn't be hanging at the spa, but it's available for people that want to do that. Where can you take four people, feed them, house them, and give them experiences that'll last a lifetime for 8,000 bucks? It's actually less. It works out to that in this case at the low season, which would be like Arizona going into like June and July and August and parts of September. It's 7,200 bucks for a family of four. And if you're in the area where these dude ranches are, or you're within like a 6 or 7 hour drive, it's just gas money. You put the kids in the car, you drive. That is a great value, great experience. And there's plenty of options like that. Let's say you don't want to do the dude ranch thing, but let's say you want to show your kids the natural formations at Zion National Park or Bryce, or you want to take them out to Moab. Again, there's ways you can do that. Look to the seasons where there's a lower demand for tourism. If you've got just a couple traveling, just do it in that shoulder season. Like when the families are traveling, we know when the families are traveling. It's summer because summer vacation. It's it's not happening in the fall except for like the Thanksgiving break. Right after Thanksgiving, that gap between Thanksgiving and the start of the Christmas break, another great time to travel. And again, another time after that is in early to mid January because people have already gone away for the holidays and they haven't ramped back up where it picks up for President's Weekend, then spring break hits, and then you roll into a summer. So, for instance, you know, spring break is over. It's been over about 2 weeks now down here in Fort Lauderdale. We had a rush of college kids, high school kids, et cetera. Now they're all gone. They're all gone. It lasts several weeks because everybody has staggered breaks, but it starts like mid-March and goes through like mid-April. Things have quieted down. I was at a restaurant last night, super quiet, easy to get reservations. I'm very happy when they all leave, to be frank. But now it's a lot cheaper to come to Fort Lauderdale, for instance, or Miami than it was just a few weeks ago. Dramatic difference. Next month, it's going to be even cheaper. The month after that, it's going to be even cheaper. I don't know how many people want to come to Fort Lauderdale in the middle of August, but again, I've stayed here through the seasons. It's not as bad as you might think because we get the rain, it comes through, the temperature drops, and you get those warm summer evenings like you got up in like the Northeast in the middle of August, where the temperature's hovering like in the high 70s and it's 8 o'clock at night and it's just perfect weather. And you got a t-shirt on and shorts and flip flops. That's literally every day after the rains come through, and they typically come through between 2 and 4, and they clear out very quickly. So to me, it's like get out early, get your sunrise going, go down to the beach, hang for a few hours, come back, have lunch, take a nap, do whatever, maybe read a book as the rains come in. It's like Armageddon. I see it coming from the southwest, and I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. And then you get the thunder, the lightning. It's like a show, and then it quickly passes 9 times out of 10. Again, you can travel domestically very cheaply if you pick the right time of year to do it and not travel when everybody else is traveling. That's the key. Because when demand drops and there's supply, you're going to get a great price. And you don't have to forego travel. You just have to find the gaps where it's best. Take river cruising. You want to do a river cruise? You can do river cruising in the US, like I said a couple weeks ago. At the same time, if you decide to go over to Europe, I would encourage people to not go to Europe in the middle of summer when a lot of the places are closed, because a lot of times, you go to France, it's like a lot of shops, they just close up in August and they don't come back till sometime in September. So from that standpoint, I would tell you, take a river cruise in the fall, take one in October, or do like a Christmas markets cruise that will take you to the Christmas markets. Now, the weather will be similar to what it is in the Northeast. Like take New York City weather in October. You can have some days where it gets into the 70s. You can also have days where it only gets up into the 50s and it drops into the 30s at night. But when you do a river cruise, are you out like on the deck sunbathing? Nah, you don't really do that. I know some have the little boat, the little pools up top. I've never used one. I've been on a million river cruises. However, would I have a problem like visiting a castle or going to an amazing cathedral or walking through a beautiful town like Regensburg in Germany and Bavaria? Would it make any difference to me whether it was 85 degrees and sunny or 55 degrees, as my dad would say, a little nip in the air? He didn't have an Irish accent. His grandfather, his father did because he came off the boat. But yeah, like you put a light jacket on and you still get all the experience, all the great food on the cruise line. You pack and unpack, you pack and get to the boat and you unpack, and then you don't pack up again until it's over. And so it's really convenient. The ship pulls right into these little villages and you get these amazing experiences. And again, the price point could be 50% of what the guy just paid 2 months earlier at the end of August. to go on that same exact boat with the same exact food, with the same exact experiences. That's how you deal with it. The only caveat is for the poor folks that have young kids, you're locked into those high demand stretches, and then you have to find alternatives, meaning back to that dude ranch, do a summer dude ranch. And to do the summer dude ranch is like, in some cases, you can take a family of four on a summer dude ranch for the same price that it would cost one person to go on a river cruise in the summer. That's where the value differential is. And if you can drive, even better, even with high gas prices, still far cheaper than putting four kids on a plane from LA, let's say, to Arizona. Just drive. And last but not least, look at what's called Homeport cruising. I know I didn't put that in, and it's not last because I want to just address Las Vegas. Um, Homeport cruising, basically, there's a like a cruise ship within 70% of the US population at any given day that you could go access out of ports up and down the East Coast, down along the Southern Coast, and the West Coast. There's so many ships that home port out of these places that you save a ton on airfare, and you never have to worry about showing up with a 5-hour TSA line and all the headaches and lost luggage. You just throw your stuff in the car. You take a couple of days if it's a long drive, if you're outside that scope. But even if you're in the Northeast, to drive down to Port Everglades takes 2 days. You drive 8 or 9 hours one day, 6 or 7 hours the next day, boom, you're here. And if you're going out of Jacksonville or Cape Canaveral, it's even less time. It's even less time. So there are many options. Keep your options open. Talk to a travel professional. Ask them for the best options, and don't be afraid to tell them. Listen, we're trying to do this. We want the greatest experience at the best value we can get. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And a good travel professional is going to help you figure that out. And like I said, Vegas finally got the message. You can't just keep stacking on costs, stacking on costs, stacking on costs. You got your hotels, $200 a night. Oh, weekend, it's $400 or $500 a night. Oh, yeah, $65 resort fee. Oh, you want to have dinner at one of our restaurants? Well, for two of you at the cheapest restaurant, you're probably going to drop $100 for dinner. At the nicest restaurants, you can spend $500 pretty easily, because in some of these places, a steak's going to cost you $100, just the steak with nothing else. Oh, you want a drink? That's another $27. Oh, you want a bottle of wine? Well, our cheapest bottle of wine is $75. Kind of reminds me when I went to Tahiti, and I was like, okay, this is a decent wine. It was like $70 in Tahiti for this bottle of wine. I looked it up. I could order a case of it for $96. So for the cost of like almost one bottle of wine, I could get 12, because everything gets imported and everything was really expensive. That was the most expensive vacation I ever did. And I don't even want to tell you how much it cost, because we had the overwater bungalow, we had first class seats flying out of LA. And yeah, it was insanely expensive, but it was an insanely amazing trip. And it's like a bucket list trip. So anyway, you can spend big bucks, you can do it on the cheap, you can do something in between, and you can get great experiences at a great value, all depending on how you do it. So with that said, follow us on all your social media and podcast apps. And please, please, please sign up for our newsletter so you can get this information as soon as it comes out, because we'll tee this up and it'll be out shortly, and you'd be one of the first to know. And then you can say thank you and be on your way, as long as you do that. All right, that's it. I will catch you next time.